Thanks for following along with the tutorial so far. Today we're going to go a little bit away from focusing on our player and enemies, and we're going to work on a start menu. So in order to do this, we're going to be working with a new node that we haven't worked with yet. So let's create a new node, and if we just click on user interface, it automatically creates a control node, which is just a base GUI node, which is what we want. We'll just call this main menu. Okay, I'm going to save this. We're going to put this in scenes. I'm going to make a new folder, call it UI. Call this main menu. Save it in there. We're also going to attach a script to it. It can be in the same folder. Create it. We're going to class name main menu. Okay. Now that we have that, let's look to build out kind of visually what this is going to look like, okay? So in order to actually do anything inside of our 2D scene here, we're going to need to add a new node that is going to be a panel node. You can see now that we have this small rectangle square here. We can pull it, we can manually adjust it here, but what's going to be better for us is if we go in the layout, anchors, and if we want full rect, that automatically opens it up into the entire viewport. Or you can also go up to here and click this button. This is the same thing. This is just a quicker way to get to full rect. We're going to call this background image panel. In order to work with this image panel, I'm going to close some of these. We're going to go into our theme overrides, into style, and we're going to add a new style box texture. And what this is going to do is this is what's going to take our background image. Boom. Okay. This is what I'm using. Obviously not a great starting menu, but this will at least give us something to work with as we're building out our project, okay? This is, I think, fine for now. We probably want to make this a little bit not as kind of clear, right? So if we want to go into the modulate, we could look to put sort of like this darker or this like lighter gray on it so it's not as clear as it is, to kind of like show that this isn't our actual game, okay? So we'll do that. Next thing we're going to want to do in our main menu is we want to add a label. This is where we're going to be able to house our text, okay? I'm going to put this right now in the middle, which is this anchor preset here. But I'm going to move it up a little bit. I don't really want it to be directly in the middle. Right, so we're going to call this 2D platformer. Okay. Not great. The text doesn't look good. The default text is not necessarily great for pixel games or pixel art games. So we're going to do a little bit of work with this first. Before we really get into anything, we are going to go into our theme overrides. We're going to check on the fonts. In the assets folder inside of the GitHub repository, we do have a fonts folder, and we're going to use this bit by bit fonts. You can just click and drag that in here. I don't know. I kind of like the look of this. It's just very, it's more pixely. I am going to make this in all caps. I think that actually looks a little bit better. And we are going to also do the overrides on font size. We're going to make this a little bit bigger. Let's just do that. Put this up a little bit. So if we go to color, we can click on the font shadow color. And we have to go to the constants. We have to do a shadow offset. This should say shadow offset Y. I'm just going to put this on 5. You can kind of see what it's doing down here. Let's maybe do the offset on, no, I just like it on the Y. And maybe let's mess around and see if we can, yeah, this is kind of the stuff that you can do with it. I'm going to make it so that it's more just like that, okay? I think that kind of matches our player's pants a little bit, and I think looks decent, right? Nothing crazy. but I think it looks better than just the white. Now we're going to start adding buttons. Okay, so we can just look for a button node, and we are going to just give it the text of start. Okay, again, this is in the wrong font, so we are going to go down to our theme overrides, fonts, drag in the bit by bit. Okay, here's our start button. So I can't make it a little bit smaller. I got to change the font size. Okay, 9 pixels. Now we can make it a little bit smaller. All right. This is an actual button. So if we go to play our scene, this is a button. It has the standard, you can click it, you hover over it, you get a little, it changes colors, but it's currently not functional. We're going to work on that as we move down, or as we continue in the tutorial. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to make some more buttons. So let's just rename this one start button. Okay. And we're just going to do 2 buttons for right now. Let's just duplicate this. We're going to call this exit button. Okay. Since we duplicated this one's here. Just call this exit. All right. And you can see I intentionally put these as not centered, right? So we can use what is going to be called a VBox container to make sure that these are always going to be in the same visual container. They're going to be stacked on top of each other. We can add the margins, and it's going to keep them all in line so they all have the same dimensions, or will be all centered with each other, and you don't have to worry about checking the X and Y coordinates for all of these and doing it yourself. So we can add a VBox container. As you can see, it controls all of its elements vertically. There is also an HBox container if you wanted to use that. So let's drag these into here. You can see, right, they're all ready. So let's actually go here. We're going to anchor this in the center. Okay. They are, if you can see, there's not a lot of margin in between them. This also just visually doesn't look that nice. So let's see if we can style these buttons. I'm actually going to move this lower too. Let's bring this down here. Alignment, center, layout, transform. We are going to put this in the center. Okay. Let's do bottom center. Now I'm just going to bring this up a little bit to be right under our player. Okay. Now let's go and see if we can start styling these buttons. Okay, so now that we have the VBox container all set up, I want to introduce the idea of a theme here. So you might have seen we're doing theme overrides. For right now, I want to create a theme that can be applied across any button that we make if we want to. So we're going to make a new theme. This is just going to be a consistent style that we can apply across any button that we choose. So we're going to go back up to our font here. We're just going to pop this in the override font. We already had that there, but that's where we're going to do it. We're going to leave the default size is at 9, which is what we're using here. Okay, and the first thing that we have to do is we have to pick the overrides, the type of node that we want to override. This doesn't know we're automatically applying this for buttons because you can have one theme across your entire project. So we want to find the button node here. Now we can add this type, and now it gives us everything that we can override. So we are going to do our font file. So that's going to be, I have to hit the plus sign first actually, then we can do the font file, which is what we want. The font size we're going to override as well. We're going to make that 9 just because that's what we were doing. You'll always be able to use theme overrides to get past this if you want. You can see now, let's save this, or let's save our theme in the UI folder. We're going to call it, we'll just call it UI theme in case we want to build on it later. Now I can undo these override changes here, and it's still going to keep, these buttons are still going to keep all characteristics inside of our theme because we've assigned it the UI theme. And now we're going to do a couple of overrides for our buttons. Okay, we're going to start with our disabled button. And we're going to be working with a style box flat. We're first going to go here. We're going to pass in this hex code. This hex code is going to make it be, you know, it's the alpha is closer to 0 and it's a little bit darker. We're going to use that. We're also going to change the corner radius of our buttons. This was going to give us, which when we add a color to it, you're going to see it more easily, but it's going to round our edges on all the corners of the buttons, which I like. We're also going to go to the content margins, and we're going to go 4, 4, 4, 4. So we're just giving some margins to our button. Now we're going to go into the focus. We're going to do the same thing, a style box flat. We're going to pass it in this hex code. I'll post all these hex codes in the description just so you can have them, or feel free to just take this theme from the GitHub repo. There's a couple things that we're going to have to do here as well. Add some expand margins, and we're going to do 2, 2, 2, 2. That should be good for that one. And now we're going to do the hover. We're going to pass in this hex code. And we're going to do 2 more. We have normal and pressed. Okay. Style box flat. And we are just going to make this white. And on pressed, we're going to add a new one. New style box flat for pressed. Click into here. We're going to use this hex code, which is, again, it's just black. Let's save this. I'm going to go to the exit button. I'm also going to get rid of this, get rid of the theme override so you can see what happens now. And then we go to quick load on our themes. Just select this theme. It's automatically going to apply it there. Okay. Let's go back to our theme because we need to keep doing some editing here. I don't really love these white buttons exactly like this. We need to go into the font color. And I'm going to make this black. Okay. Also, you can see our edges didn't round, which is not what I wanted. I did want our edges to be round. Did I not do the corner radius on this one? Oops. Didn't save for some reason. Okay, so that's a problem. In here, we're going to do this one. Okay, radius as well. Disabled normal. This didn't save any of our stuff. There you go. Now you can kind of see what the corner radius is doing. I don't know why those didn't save, so sorry for that. Maybe I didn't actually press save in our UI theme after we made all of these. This is a good start for us. Let's leave these 2 buttons as is. So now we have a little bit more functionality. We can do HBox container to do a little bit more theme overrides if we want. We can add some separation so we can actually just, you know, handle the margins, separate them a little bit more. I wouldn't mind making these. You can also see how the VBox container holds these. I think I'm going to make, I think I'm going to make the font bigger in this theme also. I don't like how small the font is. Let's go up to like 18 and see how that looks. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Let's do 14. It's a little big. Okay. Cool. Let's go to our VBox container. We're going to re-center this, bring it up. Okay. Let's try this out. Okay, I mean, I think this looks a little bit better. I don't think it's perfect. But you can play around with your theme as you'd like. Now we need these buttons to actually do something. So let's go to our script. Let's start building this out. First thing is we're going to need our VBox container. I'm just going to call this button container. I need this as an onReady variable. Then we're going to need a variable that's starting level path, which is going to be a string, and it's going to equal, for now, our test scene. So I can just drag that in there. Don't hold control or anything like that. Just drag that in. Now we need to do a couple of things to actually make this work. So we need to go to our start button, click on the node, and we need to do a method for on button pressed. We also need to do an exit button on press. Let's just get these set up. This is actually going to be pretty easy as well. In the start button press, we just do get tree, that change scene to file, and this takes a path. So that's why we're doing a starting level path as a string and not preloading it or doing any other reference. Now I can just do that. Okay. And in here, in the exit, we just do get tree dot quit. Now let me demonstrate this. So we click play. I'm not doing my main menu. So I hit that, start. Now we go right into our game. I still can't quit here. We don't have a pause menu. But if we play this scene and just hit exit, it quits.